Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Mel, and for today's video I'm going to be doing a get ready with me. The little story time will be about the first time I ever tried some greens. I'm not a professional artist, so kind of stick with me. A ver si sale bien, you know. So the first time I ever tried some greens, oh my god, how funny. So I was in my house and I had like an edible. I had a brownie edible. And this was like after I get out of school. It was like my freshman year in high school. And so after like it was my freshman year in high school, and like I was curious. I was like, what, like, the first time I ever tried greens was I was in my house. It was an edible, a brownie edible, and I'm not sure. Like it was a small piece, like super duper small. It was super duper funny because I consumed it like I consumed it, and it usually takes to 45 minutes to an hour to kick in. And those 45 minutes passed. Those 45 minutes passed and I started to feel like a little dizzy. I was like, oh my god, like, you know what I mean? Like, I was like, is this like the natural feeling of it? I was just so confused. I found everything so funny. Like, I was just laughing and laughing and laughing and laughing, right? Because they're like, oh, like, my mom's here, like, you need to chill, right? And I was like, okay. So she comes in, and I was like, I tried to be so serious, but I was just laughing. I think my mom was like, what's wrong with her? But it was like really, really, it was so funny though. I found everything so funny, and she came in and I started laughing. And then someone was like, oh, go into your room and sleep, because it's like so obvious, that you're faded, right? And so I went and I slept, right? I slept it out. But that was my experience with the first time I ever tried some greens. So my freshman year, that was the first time I ever tried it, right? And then after that, like, it was just second semester, and I just kept, consuming and consuming. Plus, I was going through like a very, very bad phase in my entire life. Like, it was just, my life was really rough that time. My sophomore year was the craziest. I think that was like the most I would ever do it, right? And it was really, really bad. I It was like an everyday thing, and it would be like morning, it would be like nutrition, but after nutrition I wouldn't do anything. Like, nutrition was like, okay, like, this is the last time you'll do it, because I was in softball. So my crazy phase was in sophomore year. It was my junior year. Cause the Cuaresma, I decided to leave smoking, and after I left it, like, it was crazy, because since my body was just so used to it after taking it up for every day, like, it was just much harder for me to sleep, um, much harder for me to sleep, and sometimes harder to concentrate. But it's because it, like, weed would make me concentrate in class. I believe it was my senior year. It was my senior year, first semester. I wasn't smoking as much as I used to, and so we had two pens, because we used to do blinkers. So basically, you would inhale until it would blink, and it would be a lot of smoke. And it was a lot to take in, especially since I stopped smoking, because I would take blinkers and I would cough, but I wouldn't cough as bad. Like, my throat and my lungs were getting used to it. And so and so this time, I remember this day specifically, like, it was crazy, because I had two pens, and I was like, okay, like, I can do it. Like, I had a motivation. I was like, go, you got this. And I did it. After I did those, because I had two pens on me, and I did blinkers on both at the same time. So I had two pens going at the same time, waiting for them to blink. It was the worst mistake I ever did in my entire life. I had the craziest trip in my entire life. After then, I was like, fuck that. Like, I'm not going through it again in my entire life. Like, me quitaron las ganas to smoke. I stopped smoking, and I stopped smoking. But here and there I would smoke, right? But it wasn't as crazy as I used to. Like one day, yes, and then it'll be like a month later, and then I'll do it again or whatever. And so it was like that for a while. But the trip was crazy because I remember this day, like I was tripping out. I told my friends, I was like, hey, look, like I'm super tripping out, like I can't, you know. And it was crazy because I saw everybody as a fucking animal. I don't know why. Like I just saw them, like their face forms. Like I was like, okay. Once I got to my fifth period class, I went in and I told my closest friends, I was like, hey, look, like I'm gone, like I just can't. One of my guy friends, he kind of got mad at me because like we're super close, and like what's it called, we're super close, you know, we're kind of close now than we were then, but we're not like how we used to be, you know, like everybody goes their own way after high school. So the whole thing was that like he was there and he was like, man, he was like, why are you doing this, you know, blah blah blah. But yeah, like he's like, you know, he would do it. And I was like, whatever. It's like, no, I'm not gonna take your consejos because you go through it too, you know. And so I saw everybody as like animals. It was crazy. Not like, oh, like just like their way of being, like their face forms were like super different. And so at the I went into class. I ate an orange because my friend was like, "Oh, you should eat an orange. I think it'll be better for you since it was agrio. It was like bitter." And after I did that, I couldn't because I ate. I was like, "Okay, I'm gonna eat so that way like the food is pretty heavy, so that way it can go down faster." It was the worst mistake I ever did in my entire life. I couldn't, so I was, because that class was kind of kind of a, I don't know how to explain that class, because we would just do homework in there and stuff. And it was so, it was crazy because like I felt like everybody was staring at me, and I was like, okay, like I just can't, like everybody's staring at me. I went outside, I sat down outside, and my friend followed me out. And I was just laying there. I even the teacher came out and he was like, what's up, like what's going on? And I was like, look, like it's just a girl thing, like I can't be in there, like I'm feeling bad, I'm feeling sick. And so he was like, okay, you know, chill out here and whatever. So I chilled out there for a bit. And then after I was sitting there and I was laying down, and I told my friend, I was like, I can't, like I need to throw up. I started throwing up. I threw up the orange. I just couldn't, like I wasn't having it. And after that, I felt a little better, but I was still gone. Like I was out of, it was out of my mind. And I remember that day, like I was like little gay Diosita. I was like, Diosito, if you want to take me now. Like I don't want to go through this pain anymore. I just can't, like I can't anymore. And so he decided to keep me in this world. So after I went to my sixth period, and it was cool. My sixth period was more chill, but I was still gone. Like I was out of it. Like it was gone. I was, oof. It was it was the craziest day. So after after that, like I just chilled a bit. I chilled a bit. Like I wasn't smoking as much anymore. And but then I stopped, and then after, like I have my stuff, right? Like it's there. But since I've stopped, like I just, like sometimes I'm like, oh, like se me antoja, right? But then I'm like, I think about how far along I've came since, like I was doing it for, how do you say, like to cope through things, and that's the worst thing you can do, because then you just get like addicted to whatever you're doing. And after after high school I kind of stopped. But then it was a day that I was like, oh, like se me antojó, and I was craving it super duper bad. I was like, okay, whatever, I'm gonna try, I'm gonna do it. I did it. And that day I had to do a speech in front of everybody. It was, oh my god, I honestly, I don't know what I said, what I did, but I was like, and then after I told sister, because I was that during that time I was with some guy, and I was like, hey, like, did I do a good job? He was like, no, you didn't. I was like, oh. He goes, you look like ridiculous out there. And I was like, well, oh well. But then I asked my sister, and she's like, you actually did good, like, for you being high, like, you did really good. And I was like, oh. I was like, period. And it's just like little things that happen, like would happen, you know, but there was always good and bad times, like a lot of funny moments. And it was like you live and you learn. Like, I don't regret it. I don't regret it. A lot of people are like, yeah, I regret it. I don't regret it. It was fun. It's like these are the, like, at this age, this is a time where you're supposed to be making mistakes, so that way later, like, I'm not saying like make mistakes left and right, but like you learn from your mistakes, and it's for you to get better. It's for you to get better and just learn from it. And that's something que me pasó a me. Like, I learned from my mistakes. But now here and there, like, se me antoja, but like, I'm not like I need it, I want it. Nah. Yeah, I think that was like my overall experience with weed. It was fun experience. So this is my final look. I was at my, like, I was al 100. I was always al 100, except those 2 times. But I don't know. I don't recommend it to anybody. Like, don't even start type of thing, because then at the first time when I started, I was like, okay, I don't know if I'm gonna do it again. Then I did it, and 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 then I did it again.